I mean, yeah.
You invent the first wheel, all right, it's made out of rock or wood or something. Now look at them.
I just, it really bothers me because you would think that the way that they've designed FF14, that it was FF11 that was the colossal economic failure, not FF14 1.0.
Oh.
Right? Because, like, let's think about this. FF11 is the most profitable game in Square Enix history. And it would stand, you know, you would think, like, and I've laid this out before, you would think, okay, well, then, FF14 has even a higher price point, and more people are playing it, or have played it, or have bought copies of it, that it would overtake 11, right? Like, Eventually. Not so. Because the development costs associated with 1.0
too high
were so disastrous and had such an impact that number is drastically lower than most people assume. So FF11 still to this day stands as Square Enix's most profitable game. So someone please, either in our audience, in this room, whoever it is, call us. Again, Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-207-1764, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. Someone explain to me why Square Enix is treating FF11 like it was the game that failed. Because everything that I see, there was a satisfied population for FF11 that naturally gravitated away from an aging game. They weren't dissatisfied with the way that the game was structured. It was just old, and Square Enix had already said they were moving on. So their audience started to move on as well. But FF14 took none of the lessons from FF11. They took none of the positive aspects of FF11 and tried to continue them on. Now, some people have said that, oh, well, maybe they were trying to distinguish FF14 from FF11.
Which is fair.
I think that a certain degree of that is fair. But why, over the course of 3 expansions and the course of 4 years of operation, has FF14 been so adverse to
change?
Yes.
I think I know the answer.
Or trying something new.
Okay.
Or being adventurous with their content. Or at least, I mean, like, because, again, they made some mistakes with FF11. Not everything was perfect. But, objectively, they made way more money doing what they were doing with a even limited population and appeal that FF11 had.
Look, and this is actually the point that I was going to bring up to answer that, but SFlox88 in the chat said if 14 takes ideas from MMOs, can they get, well, okay, no, I mean, he wasn't exactly the point I was going to make, but back when 2.0 first came around, one of the things that Yoshi said in a lot of the different interviews, one of the things that we sort of associated with him was that he looked at all these other, both Eastern and Western MMOs, identified what worked and what they did right, and was able to incorporate all of those when bringing FF14 back. So if none of those were necessarily, the development team's original ideas, could that be why they don't know how to improve upon them?
Well, but who from the original development team is even left? I'm sure it's got to be less than a quarter of the staff.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so, and again, Yoshi P took over as the creative director and the creative center of this game. And, I mean, I've heard before, people suggesting that, look, maybe Yoshi P's just a one-trick pony. That all he had in him was to be able to revive FF14. Right, yeah, and be able to work off of somebody else's blueprint than he is to be able to make his own game and sustain it.
And I don't think in corporate settings that it is out of the ordinary to bring someone in to fix something, to get it back on track, and then give it to somebody else to manage.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think you can bring somebody else in. Like, I don't think you can bring somebody outside in to be able to right this ship, and I don't know that there's necessarily anyone on staff that is better than Yoshi P? I don't know. I don't know that enough about.
I don't know if I believe that, because again, if you look at Blizzard, every few expansions they mix things up quite a bit. So what's to stop anyone new from coming in?
Even down to the game director, though. I mean, like,
no. All right. See, that's the thing. I don't know that they change staff, but the type of changes that we want to see in FF14, WoW has done before and continues to do. So I think what some people want is to see Yoshi P taken out, someone else put in there that can take what they have and change it up a little bit.
Well, and now we have all kinds of quotes from Yoshi P that, oh my God, like some of them have elicited an extreme reaction from the community, and I think that there are more than a few people who are questioning if Yoshi P is the right person to be at the helm of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's not unfair. I don't think that that's unfair to ask, especially at this point, now that we know that there is nothing in the foreseeable future that is really going to be changing with this game.
God, that's terrible. To feel that way at the beginning of an expansion instead of when one's winding down is crushing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is, I guess, if anyone wants to talk Unending Coil of Bahamut, or if anyone wants to talk, or explain to me why Square Enix seems intent on treating FF11 like it was the game that failed, you can give us a call. Limit Break Radio on Skype, 810-515-8715, limitbreakradio.com/Discord. We're more than willing to take any of your calls on this. And but the thing is that this is a perfect bridge into a recent interview with Yoshi P from PlayStation Universe, and we actually happen to know
the interviewer.
The interviewer. I don't think we want to out him. Do we want to?
No, yeah, he doesn't mind. He actually,
really?
He actually came and provided the link to us, and he was in the chat earlier. Said I came to see if my interview got read.
Oh, okay.
So LBR viewer and friend, because we hung out with him out at FanFest, Real Chile. He was the one who got to conduct this interview.
That's right.
Yes, he's right there in the chat. Yes.
All right. So here we are and congratulations, Chile. This was definitely an interesting read.
Now we're gonna tear you apart for your shitty questions, you piece of shit.
Actually, listen, we may dog you a little bit, but overall, the questions were pretty all right.
He's been a longtime fan, so I think he gets it.
I'm actually like I'm like, all right, that I'm okay with all these questions. So, all right.
So the first question was about the housing shortages. He basically asked, the housing shortages upset people again. What are you going to do to help them get their houses? And Yoshi P apologized and acted like they had no idea this was going to happen.
Idiots.
Like this isn't the fourth or fifth time they released housing and not everybody got one.
It was sold out in an hour.
I think that this is what they just have to say at this point. Like, what else do you say?
Yeah, because what were they saying? Like, oh yeah, we knew this would happen, but we didn't care.
I don't know. Just say that it's supposed to be like a commodity that not everybody gets, and there's a supply and demand. So if you're not quick enough, sorry, wait till next time. There are more houses coming in 4.2. Boom.
Bingo.
I mean,
life isn't fair. That's what you tell them.
You can't tell the 14 community that. That went out the window as soon as Steps of Faith hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second question was, we've seen the introduction of many Disciples of War and Magic into the game, but what about adding new crafting and gathering classes?
Oh, wait, we need to skip this question.
How do you plan to keep the crafting and gathering classes from becoming stale?
Chili.
They've always been.
Why are you asking anything about crafting?
To be fair, crafting in 2.0 is much less stale than it was at 1.0.
Nika. Listen, Chili, you've been listening to the show long enough to know none of the Limit Break Radio cast cares about crafting or gathering at all. So why would you even ask this?
All of your questions should be tailored to our needs.
Exactly.
The short answer was no. The long answer was that it's basically too complicated. World economy, adding new things to old things.
What economy?
And a new crafting class would just fill a lesser role. Oh, Chile, this next question.
It'd just be like, yeah.
What other kinds of changes or additions do you have for the RP community, such as the RP tag you implemented before?
Chili. Bro. I think we need to have a. I was
gonna say we're good friends. Like we bought drinks for each other in FanFest. I feel like when you got this interview, you should have contacted us and been like, "You guys want to add a few questions?"
Yeah,
We'd have helped.
You know what? Listen, I'm not saying you need an editor for your questions by any means, but you need an editor. We can edit for you.
We can.
Well, also the fact that their answer was, Perform is coming.
Soon.
Here you go, RP people.
Stop it.
Hold on. But what's even more disturbing is they said that we have a roadmap of future implementations that we will be adding to further inspire role players to make their own fun.
Okay,
in
what
game.
about a roadmap, future implementation so that people who actually play the content can have fun in this game? No,
Nika. Well, Nika, technically, those people can use this roadmap too.
It's just a blank page.
Oh, okay.
Listen, okay, so this next question I thought was
one of the important ones.
I thought it was interesting, but I don't know, the way that you asked it, Yoshi P, can I see your penis? Like, Chili, I don't know that was the most appropriate thing to ask in an interview, and I noticed
maybe,
that
lead up to it.
Yeah, I noticed that he pulled back a little bit after this question, and I think that it was because you asked to see his penis,
right? And you need to lead up to asking before you see the penis.
Right.
Like, be like, so I noticed that your pants are pretty slim today.
Right.
So do you think you could whip out your penis?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
You gotta lead up to it.
Yes. Right. So then it's a surprise, and then before he knows it, his pants are already off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Has that ever worked for either of you?
No, not even once. Not what?
Last night, Daddy.
Okay, so the question...
I'm not yes-ending that. No. The bit is dead. The bit is dead. You killed it. We need to mourn this bit because it was going really well until you murdered it.
Good job.
Bit murderer.
The next question. Well, the diadem was a daring step toward new content in FF14. It seems like many players didn't feel a strong incentive to stick with it for the long haul.
Really?
What lessons have you...
No!
Well, I don't know if Yoshi P realizes all
I had no idea!
spelled out to him so that he understands.
Really?
I have a question. Why is this part italicized?
Because it's an important question.
Oh.
Those other questions...
You italicize important things?
Those other question wasn't important.
Why don't you bold it?
In this context, I did. What lessons have you learned from Diadem, and what kinds of changes can we expect to see when Eureka is implemented? What challenges have you encountered that have delayed its release until 4.2?
I love the fact that because I don't know why I feel like us connecting Eureka with Diadem was like a quintessentially LBR thing, but it is just like the entire community at this point is just assuming that Eureka is Diadem 3.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't Diadem part of also the relic stuff? Didn't you have to farm some of the stuff?
Well, okay.
No, there was Dawnborn Ether Sand you had to gather from there.
And there was gathering and crafting stuff that you could do, but you could also just buy that on auction.
Well, someone had to do it.
Someone had to do it. So technically you're right.
But he did say that Eureka was part of the relic stuff. So maybe that's where a lot of the people are drawing the correlation.
Mm-hmm. So Yoshi P answered, this can be said for Diadem as well, but when creating content for Final Fantasy XIV, we don't envision anything we make as content we want people to continue playing for an exceptionally long time. I'm going to stop right there. How long did each of you play Diadem?
Yeah.
Because for me, it wasn't even a month.
See, okay.
Like, I think that this is their vision. They say, okay, let's put something in that they can play in the short run and not give a shit about after 2 months. Like,
yeah, that's what
exactly.
Out said we don't think about the future of our game when we put stuff in. And that's what they literally just said.
And here's the thing: is that we receive so much flack every time we put out there or imply that Square Enix actively does not care about the veterans of this game, actively does not give a shit about the people who floated them through 1.0, about the people who bought the boxed copy of 2.0, who bought the collector's edition of 2.0, and was paying that subscription fee for the entire duration that these servers have been running. They distinctly care. In fact, they care quantifiably less about you than the people who have not spent the money to buy this game. This quote proves it. This quote puts all of the contempt that they have for their long-term players on display in a fucking museum case. There you go. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it, FF14 community. Fucking eat it. Eat every fucking ounce of it. Because this is what FF14, this is what Square Enix, and this is what Yoshi P thinks of not just you, but this is what they think of your money. That's what they think of your support and your money. They could shit on it, and they don't give a fuck.
He goes on to say, we have designed the game in a way that entices players to strive for high-level items, or for high item-level weapons or equipment, or enjoy the aspect of leveling up with our content updates. Since there is a level cap in the game, coupled with the fact that we increase the item level on equipment with our updates, it really is hard to imagine content existing that can be played for an extended period of time.
Oh, really? Like every other MMO has done before you? They seem to figure it out.
That your predecessor did?
They seem
no. Let's not even go into
even if they have to shoehorn it, they make it work. Listen. FF11 had a lot of flaws, but at the same time, they had as many limitations as they had flaws. And they were creative enough to be able to work with what they were given and not have to tear it down when it didn't fucking make all the money.
But you realize their answer to getting people to continually play content for 2 years at a time and make it relevant is that, okay, this boss is going to spawn once every 3 days. It has a chance of spawning once every couple of hours for 30 seconds. And then if you do manage to claim it over all the other link shells, it has a 2% drop rate. That was their answer to getting you to play that content for years and years and years.
But here's the problem.
Either.
I understand that, Nika, but it worked. You played it.
It worked.
You played it, right?
It would never work now.
You played it, and it worked. And there was something, even if you hated it, you realized that there was some sort of psychology that was working on you, and you logged in and played it. At the end of the day, you stayed subscribed. At the end of the day, that's the fucking goal.
Nika, if you don't like that comparison, when I did my stream the other day, we were talking about WoW, BlizzCon, so the release of the new expansion and stuff like that. And someone mentioned that the reason that they unsubbed from WoW was because they needed a break because they were experiencing content bloat. There was too much for them to do.
They were overwhelmed by content.
That was the word they used. Overwhelmed by content.
When was the last time you felt overwhelmed by content? I can tell you when. The last time I logged into FF11, legitimately.
Ouch.
Like a year ago. I was like, oh shit, there's so much that it was left undone, and there's so much new shit that I could do that I've not even touched. I was even back during TOAU. I was active in, what was that, fucking Skirmish 2? That was the last time I actually logged in and logged hours on that game and got gear out of it, okay? And even still, I log in and right now, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of shit to do in this game.
Yeah, but also if you stopped playing 14 for a year, you could come back and say there's shit to do.
No, you
couldn't. Mostly in the form of a story quest.
No. Because here's the problem. Here's the problem, and this is the exact problem, is that right now, what am I doing to be able to get tone gear? I'm doing dungeons, I'm doing easy raids, and a combination of those two to get tomes and to get unlock items, right? What's if I stop playing for a year from now, what am I going to be doing to get tomes and to be able to unlock gear and shit?
Answer, please.
Please? The same shit.
Exactly.
Okay, but holding,
that's the problem.
Wait, but not just that, Nika. He's not
maybe a couple new dungeons and new storyline quests.
This is the problem. He doesn't have to grind out the gear he was at, then the gear after that, then the gear after that to catch up.
Exactly.
He just has to grind to get the same stuff everybody else is already getting at that
Precisely.
point.
I'll suck for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'll suck for 2 weeks, but I'll catch up.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I'm just trying to find something.
It's not but that's the thing. But when you minimize the problem, it makes it feel like that's what you're doing. You're minimizing the problem. And again, I think that we've got to hold developers accountable for the mistakes that they make, especially when they're under-delivering. We're paying every month for this shit. And look at the contempt that Yoshi P is able to throw into an interview towards his community that pays his bills. And this is not direct one-to-one, right? Like you're not donating to Yoshi P's fucking Patreon to be able to keep this game running, right? Like you're paying for access to a game that you should in theory find satisfying. This is a service issue.
That's I think a better way of putting it.
It's a service issue, and he is an as an employee and an extension of Square Enix, and the most responsible party in this entire, the one who's calling the shots in this entire equation. He's the one that's got to be held accountable.
Mm-hmm. If you went to a restaurant every day and got shitty food, you wouldn't just keep going to get shitty food, would you?
You wouldn't blame the waitress.
No. Well,
well, some people do.
Mm-hmm. Those people are idiots.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you don't blame the delivery driver.
No, you should definitely blame your delivery driver.
But it's actually it is almost like a perfect, like almost like a perfect parallel.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Comparison. And there are people who do take it out on the wait staff. And people have accused us of unfairly taking out our frustrations on maybe the low-level dev team. And we have said that, like, whoa, this has got to be the laziest dev team on the face of the planet, blah, blah, blah. We've talked our fair share of shit. So maybe we're a little bit guilty of this too. At the end of the day, who is the one that you have to hold responsible? It's either, the head chef. Yeah, either the head chef or the owner or the manager of the restaurant.
The person who manages everyone else.
Even the chef, right? Like even the chef has choices, right? Like
if the ingredients are shit, then you get new ingredients.
Yes, and as a chef, I don't know if you have the ability to choose where you order your ingredient. Well, some do.
And really depending if you had a multi-million-dollar Japanese company, you can choose your ingredients.
Right, but you work for Jet's Pizza, and even if you're you're the manager, you don't get to choose okay, well, I'm going to do business with this pepper farm versus this pepper farm, right? Some businesses do allow for some of that, right?
Yeah, right. A little bit.
But there are choices that happen at
every level,
at a level higher than you, and it's important to distinguish where those choices are being made and where those decisions are falling flat, and to hold the people who are directly responsible for those decisions accountable. I think that all of those things are important. So, when we sit here and we bag on the dev team, really it is, I think at the end of the day, it's Yoshi P that deserves the heat. Because if we slough it off on Square Enix and the people above him, that lets him off from the responsibility of making the shitty decisions, and then he gets to collect all the glory. And if we're sloughing it off on the people below him, that's punching down. Maybe there are people down there that are responsible for it, but we'll never know, and we don't really even know who they are.
Maybe they have really good ideas that have engaging content, but Yoshi says no.
Yeah, we would never know.
Nobody knows.
Yep. He goes on to say, we tried a few different things with the diadem. In the first iteration, we focused on content where players farmed enemies without many clear objectives, and then toyed with the idea of having players complete objectives with a big surprise waiting for them in the form of a monster. Really? Yoshi P?
Cool surprise.
You thought that what you did in diadem was different ideas?
Cool surprise, bro.
Okay.
Nice.
Eureka was developed based on our experiences from creating that content. The idea behind Eureka is to give players the opportunity to experience content that has a completely different set of battle rules from field or instant content.
That's a fair goal.
However, it has been taking us time to develop due to its scale and completely new system. It shouldn't be much longer, though. Now, before anyone gets excited about this, I would like to reference you back to content we want people to continue playing for exceptionally long time. It's not going to be that. So they've put all this time and effort into it, but it's still probably going to last a month or two.
I don't know. But if they learn something from this and they can build off of it with future content, maybe.
But that's what we always say. If they can continue, if they find something good and they continue to build off of it, then they've got something there. That never happens.
That's such basic, guys. If they have a good idea, then they'll have a good idea.
And that's here, but here's the thing: is that they and we even said this at when we had the first diadem. There was good ideas there.
There's potential.
There were.
And what did they do with 2.0? They gutted the whole fucking thing. They took all of they didn't even take the stuff that worked or the good stuff. They just made a whole new thing.
And the only good idea they had was trying new things. That's it.
Here's the only system that they delivered on expanding, and they did in a good way, and that's Palace of the Dead. That's it.
But they haven't expanded that yet. That's what's driving me crazy is that everything about Palace of the Dead was repetitive. It was one objective: kill X amount of monsters, go to next floor. Like if they take that now, give us a new deep dungeon, expand on its objective thing, give us that would be perfect. We haven't seen it or even heard about that content.
I'd like to refer you back to part of this answer here, where he says that Eureka is to give players the opportunity to experience content that is different set of battle rules from the field or instanced content. You know what has different rules from the battlefield or instanced content?
Deep Dungeon.
Deep Dungeon did.
You think they're going to just cram the two together?
No.
I think it's a possibility.
I hope not.
It's fucking better.
No.
Not. People are expecting so much from Eureka. Something new, something fresh, something exciting.
Why expect that, though?
Yeah. Why would you?
Why would you? Because you want to play this game and have fun with it for a change.
Here's the thing.
That's why you expect it. And when it doesn't happen, people are going to quit.
I'm not even saying that what you just described can't be this if it is combined with Deep Dungeon, but then I think you're also going to upset people because we like Deep Dungeon. We want a Deep Dungeon, and we want Eureka to succeed, right? But if they have to mash those together, even if it works, I think people are going to be very disappointed.
You think that's why we haven't heard anything about the next Deep Dungeon?
Because we haven't heard anything about either of them until just right now. This is the first little bit we've started to get about Eureka.
Yeah,
we still have nothing mentioning Deep Dungeon.
And they've also previously said that the way that you're not going to go into Eureka to create your weapon or whatever, but I forget the wording, but it sounded an awful lot like the way that we leveled up the weapons in Deep Dungeon.
Weapons
no.
Yeah. I think they're just going to jam these two systems together and shoot.
Please no. Why not give us two different pieces of content?
Whoa! They can't, Nika.
That's too much.
Especially because they already have a foundation for Deep Dungeon.
The track record shows different.
No, Nika, what you just said is the key. They already have a solid foundation for Deep Dungeon, and they want Eureka to succeed, so let's build it upon the solid foundation.
And rehash content.
Or they just build a better Deep Dungeon and then give us something else, too.
You're asking way too much of them.
Clearly, I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next question, it says, what other quality of life changes can we expect now that you have the updated servers? Yoshi P said that there's two things. The first is the development of a large-scale new system surrounding the glamour system and player inventories.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Maybe something that could more easily support a free-to-play model. We have to buy glamour crystals. The second is allowing for players to manage their retainers' inventories, chat with friends, and plan out schedules without having to log into the game. This will be through a companion app on smartphones.
They've been talking about this for 2 years.
I believe we will be able to release more details on this soon. I hope you look forward to it.
They announced that at PAX 2 years ago.
They said it was supposed to launch at 4.0.
Yeah, this is fucking horseshit.
It's the same thing as the API bullshit.
Literally,
that's never happened.
Also, literally every other MMO has this. This is a standard feature of where
does Ultima Online have it?
I don't care.
We'll find out when you do your stream.
Here's the thing, though. He's absolutely right. WoW has this. I never used it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that it's this feature is in other MMOs, and it's not no one cares.
It's not groundbreaking or ground shattering or anything. I don't give a shit about FF14 unless I'm playing
we already use Discord to plan out schedules, so who cares about that? Yeah. But manage retainers inventory, that's kind of cool. If something sells, can I also redo ventures while I'm not in the game? That would be cool, but I don't know if
that might be, if I was still invested in playing 14 every day, the only thing I would be interested in. Because I have a lot of venture coins.
Yeah. Except the problem is that doesn't have to do with the retainer's inventory so much as using retainers.
That's fair.
That's why I'm not sure if that's going to be part of it or not.
All right, let's go back a little bit. And a new system surrounding the glamour system. A lot of people are picturing this as the transmog
catalog like in WoW.
WoW.
Like
Does
once you have an
anyone-
item
Yeah,
that goes into your
I can see
catalog.
it. I can see it.
Do you think that's going to be it?
Yeah.
That would be so nice because then you can get rid of all the shit you're hanging on
Nope.
to.
It's not going to be that.
Why?
Because then people would stop paying for retainers, aka me, aka it would be a quality of life for me.
But if you're taking your game free to play anyway, and you're not going to be monetizing your retainers anymore,
Why would you not monetize your retainers?
No, that would still. I think that would still be something that
Well,
was monetized.
No, I think you would. No,
Because
no.
crafting
I
people
think
still need 'em.
I would think you would have to. I think you would. To be fair to your community, you would have to drop the monetization of retainers.
I don't know about that.
It would be one of those concessions that they
I
would
don't
put
think
out
so.
there as like.
Nope. It's going to shift from a subscription model to a pay $20 once to get a retainer forever model.
There you go.
Oh,
There you
that's
go.
actually I can see that.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. Because anything that you're already paying for, they wouldn't give you free. They
Yeah,
find a
that's just
different way
stupid.
to get money from you.
Yeah, they're gonna find one more way to get a nice big charge out of you.
Yep.
And then you're and that way you feel like you're getting value. Like, oh, now it's permanently unlocked, and I
Yeah,
don't have
now
to pay
this
for
is
this.
10 months of retainer for free now. I mean,
Yeah.
great. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Awesome.
Fuck you.
Next question is an interesting one. It was mentioned in an earlier interview that you have thought about the idea of relic armor that can grow and improve with your character through completing quests and running content, something akin to the Zodiac and Anima weapons quests we currently have. Have you had any more thoughts about this type of gear and how it could be implemented within FF14? Yoshi said, yes, we actually already have solidified our plans for this. This content will be packaged with the Forbidden Land of Eureka content and thus will be implemented at the same time.
I just really want to know if this is going to be something where now all of a sudden everyone's just wearing relic armor and the rest of the gear means nothing, or if this is actually going to be legitimate horizontal.
But where did you think that your Stormblood JSE was going to be coming from?
Ta-da!
Now you power it up.
Now they have to design less armor too. Jesus.
I don't know. I have to see that before I make a judgment.
Listen, I know I'm sounding pretty cynical here, but am I wrong? Like, am I off base here? I don't think I am. I mean, that's pretty much what we're driving at, is like, okay, yeah, we used to get JSE that was, the first time it was introduced, like, where did we even get it from? Was it out of Quest? It was out of Quest.
It was out of a Quest.
It was out of the job Quest.
And everyone had, like, specific ones for themselves.
Right.
Now everyone's sharing.
Right.
No, hold on. You got the job armor from the quest, but after that, you got a recolor for your first tome gear, and that was it.
And
that was it for the expansion.
But didn't Heaven's Word have some?
And then Heaven's Word had
Yes.
one set right at launch.
Yep.
And then that was it. Everything else was shared.
And
so
now Stormblood has none so far.
Yeah, we
Am I
know.
wrong?
When you get the level 70,
Oh,
when you
yeah,
hit
you're
level
right.
70, you get the lowest eye level.
Yeah, you're right.
possible.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, see, that's what I was
And they
forgetting.
all look pretty cool. Like they're very job specific equipment. And
I do have to admit that the ninja armor is probably some of the coolest ninja armor in the game.
Okay, so if this is a second set of JSE, like I had honestly forgotten about that set.
Well, because it comes in a box. When I got mine,
it was so underwhelming.
I didn't even
Dude, it was so
realize
underwhelming. It was so underwhelming.
Yeah, you have to use it, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I actually thought
use
that it was
it in
some
a
type
town.
of. I thought it was some type of furniture. Because when I first got it, I clicked on it and nothing happened. So I'm like, oh, it must be some stupid chest or something I can put in my house.
So okay, all right. So I actually do think, okay, so if they do a JSE like thing where you can power up equipment, that's not the worst thing. If it gets them out of, like I was throwing it out there like they were getting to avoid designing a set of gear. If it's an added set of gear and it really looks like very quintessential of that job, that's cool. I'm actually all on board with that.
I have an idea.
I mean,
have
that's
an idea. What if, because of this, every other patch that we normally would get new tome gear, now they can stretch that out? Because for these next few months, you'll grind in Eureka, and then eventually grind new tome gear. A few more patches later, now you're back to a Eureka to upgrade that more. They could still use this as a crutch to get out of designing a patch worth of gear.
I don't know.
No, I don't see it.
All right.
I don't see it.
Next question.
Yeah.
Yep. All
Move
right,
it on.
so
Move it along.
Next
Come on,
question
partner.
was another one that
Piece of shit.
So Chile pointed out something that everyone's known for a while, that FCs are more like glorified chat channels.
Thank you.
Can we do something maybe more to include, like at least include a calendar for event planning? We're gonna put all that into the app system.
Listen, I sort of feel
content for free company.
I sort of feel like, Chili, you should have disclosed that this question brought to you by Limit Break Radio. You know?
No, but the real question should have been, when do we get content that free companies will want to band together and do together? That is my question.
We've talked about this a million times. A million fucking times.
You got Diadem.
Yeah, fuck you.
Hey.
Is he wrong?
That's what happened when you asked for it last time.
Is he wrong?
So no more asking for free company content.
Because he's not wrong.
If you could do,
it's all going to be part of the app.
Hold up. If you could do Palace of the Dead as a free company, would that be cool? I don't even know.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Like a hard mode version?
Yeah. Because that's sort of like what we're talking about if we're talking about throwing Diadem.
Like an alliance full of people that you can't queue up in the duty finder. Like, you cannot queue up in the duty finder. You have to do it as a pre-made group. That means you will have a free company will once again create a night and be like, hey, Saturday night is Palace of the Dead night as a free company.
That part of it feels unrealistic.
Yes.
It brings your free company together as a fucking group.
But you can always just do that in a link shell. That's the problem. What you guys want would have to have the stipulation of being like, you have to be in the same free company to do this.
Again, which is what we thought was going to happen with Diadem when they're like, well, you have to have an airship. And they're like, well, but you could also just use like the free airship that's out there.
Can I just say, honestly, and I really do mean this, I think that matchmaking may be the worst addition to MMOs as a genre ever.
Even in World of Warcraft, when the Dungeon Finder came in Wrath of the Lich King, that was one of the things that community said ruined / changed the game.
And that's the thing, man. I'm really like I mean, I've put it together before that matchmaking kind of just sucks a lot of the organizational fun.
Old dungeons and shit are fine, but like big content should not be allowed to be duty findered.
You know, it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's one of those changes to the fundamentals of the genre that, you know, it serves to alleviate some things, but it does change it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about it this way, Nika. Like, if you have the option between just clicking a button and eventually getting into a party versus just having to actually form up in a like a big social group, so you always have that big pool of friends that you can talk to and actually get a group with versus having to stand around shouting for a party, you're going to choose the big group.
There was also something really important.
Right, which is
I don't know if that worked. But
no, some things should be duty finderable.
No, like nothing should be duty finderable. That's my opinion. Because if you have here we go. If you have the option to click a button to get into a party, you're going to choose that option every single time.
Right.
If you don't have that option, then you're going to find a way to circumvent that huge time frame between looking for party.
But I feel like low-level dungeon shit nobody would do.
But
I feel like some of that stuff makes sense, but the new like 24-man content should not be duty finderable. Just shouldn't be.
Liz, and Nika, I understand what you're saying, but here's the second problem that matchmaking, especially the Duty Finder, does, and this I think speaks more to the way that they decided to do dungeons, is that, you know, in FF11 you would get that party invite and you would be somewhere centralized, like Juneau or Oregon, or you'd be out farming. You'd be in a location and you'd have to get to another location. Travel was an intrinsic part of that equation. And when they strip that out and you just all magically appear at the entrance of the dungeon, it really does take away something that was quintessentially an MMO staple, which was feeling like there was a world to traverse.
Whenever I would bring a new friend into World of Warcraft, part of like the sort of, you know, passage of rites was taking them around to each of the dungeons out in the world, because, you know, you had, I forget if there was like an attunement process first before you could do it, but there was always there
to
used
get
to be
like Wailing Caverns, you had to go through a little mini dungeon that had elite mobs that you couldn't really solo.
Yeah,
so you had to get like a little escort or a party to get through there.
And part of that, you're right, is gone. So we sacrifice something in order to gain more, I guess, quality of life. And in the end, you know, it's obviously split whether or not the game really benefits from it or not.
It's weird because we really kind of arrived at this point in a very roundabout way. And I never even really had put it together until now that was a really huge quintessential part of organizing on an everyday level. And yes, it did make things a little bit more frustrating, but it made the experience of playing an MMO
more satisfying,
and inherently unique from playing a single-player game. That's one of the things.
There you go.
That's one of the things that we've identified about FF14 is that at so many levels, it just feels like playing your average single-player campaign.
Yeah, MMOs was about living in a world, and part of living in a world is accountability, which you don't have with matchmaking anymore.
And you know what? I really don't think that you can compartmentalize the organizational aspect and the appeal of that, just the average appeal of that, of just working together and to accomplish a common goal. That's very psychologically satisfying, right? Because you feel like you walk away, everyone feels like a winner. Right? Like, and if you lose your group, you kind of walk away feeling like a loser. That was like, those were some of the stakes that were involved. But now it's like, you know, you lose and you're like, oh, that was a shitty group. I guess I gotta wait for 35 minutes for another queue to pop. Fuck that shit.
If it wasn't for matchmaking, then we would be without one of the biggest plagues of modern gaming, which is the levers.
It felt like adventuring. You went on an adventure.
No, because
everybody.
Because think about it.
So satisfying.
If you had to rely on putting together a group and being asked to come along, you would not just drop out of a raid group because that shit spreads.
Holy shit. Yeah, your reputation actually, that was one of the aspects that made your reputation stay with you.
Yep.
Oh, fuck, that's a great point.
This next question should be near and dear to your heart, Aniro.
Oh, no.
The question is, with the warrior changes, Dark Knights are feeling less useful. Can you help this?
I don't care.
Yoshi P said, we don't think the changes have made that visible of a change, but we can see why people think so, and we'll monitor the situation. So, no.
World first Bahamut Ultimate Clear was with the Dark Knight, so they're fine. The end.
Well, I mean, that's your litmus right there.
Pretty much.
Kind of.
Players are upset with the crafting meta.
Chile!
You used to be able to macro in your recipes, but now it's too hard to do. Will you change this? And Yoshi said that players seem to want both. Some people want crafting to be really easy so they can macro it in, and other people want to be challenged with like really hard rotations and stuff like that. So we'll monitor the situation. And then, the last one, and this is super paraphrased. Please go back and actually read this interview. It is a really good interview overall.
Yes.
But the last question boiled down to, can monks get Grease Lightning 4 or Grease Lightning 6 or whatever?
That's 4.
That's
idiot.
4 Roman numerals.
Jesus Christ.
What? It's like you're not even a Final Fantasy fan.
It's like you listen to anime. Like you're a retard.
like this game series hasn't been using Roman numerals the entire time it's existed.
Have you gone to school before?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Have you read a clock before?
No. I'm not good with clocks. Digital time only.
Obviously.
Anyway, the answer was probably not.
Okay.
Probably. There's still hope. No.
You don't want Grease Lightning 5, Nika.
Nika.
I know, it would probably
don't focus
be
in on
so
the
hard
problem.
to keep up anyway, so it's...
Focus on the no, not the probably. But yeah, no, I think one of the points that I kind of got derailed from, though, is that, listen, you can't just compartmentalize those organizational aspects of your game into one aspect of the most extreme endgame part of it, right? Like, most of the organizational aspects of FF14 come at the raid level and you know, where you're figuring out a time to meet and where your you know, your reputation means something, right? Like, that used to be something that was present at every level of the game, and I think that was something that was quintessentially an MMO thing and not necessarily a problem of elitism, where I think a lot of people would look at that, right? Like, oh, there's really bad elitism if I can't get into, I don't know why I really punctuated the T on that, but if I, you know, like, you can't be in a Dunes party if you don't have, you know, X amount of gear.
If you don't eat pumpkin jack-o'-lanterns, then you can't be part of my party.
Exactly. And there was no shortage of that in FF11, and people, yes, obviously complained about it, but those were, I think, really anecdotal and
outliers.
Yeah, they were. And you know, it's sort of like, you know,
like the game was in the Final Fantasy 11, like at the early stages when people didn't know how to do shit. It was like the most nicest people ever.
Most nicest people ever.
It's because they didn't know anything. You get heal bots all the time too.
I mean, that wasn't the worst thing. No, but I mean, like, there is definitely something that is missing from the FF14 experience. And I know that we're singling out FF14, but I do think that this is a problem among games other than FF14. Like, I do think that this is something that has infected a lot of other MMOs.
This is kind of why I'm excited about the vanilla WoW server.
Yeah.
Is if they don't add the looking for party function, then that social aspect will return to World of Warcraft.
I think that, you know what? I think that the vanilla WoW servers provide an interesting experiment and ask, is that game method valid anymore? Because what I think we see from a lot of different developers right now is a rejection of that idea, right? Like a rejection of the old MMO development method and play style. A lot of people think that that's dead, right? Like you can't have World of Warcraft again. But Blizzard's going to actually kind of, in a way, try it again with vanilla WoW. Right? So I think that this is an interesting experiment to see if there's enough audience even out there interested in an old school style MMO. And that would play it enough to be able to keep the servers alive, because that used to be the measure of whether a game would live or die, was whether or not the amount of people logging in made the game continue to be playable in a fundamental state. Now, again, we've talked about FF11 made incremental changes over time to be able to address this, but I think that may have been something that was fundamental in the design of FF14, where they were like, we want this to be playable for as long a period of time, even if our community population is so low that it would break most of the systems. Right? Because that's kind of at the heart of what we were talking about with vanilla WoW. Is there going to be enough people playing to feed the core mechanics of that game?
Wow, that's a good... Wow.
You know what I mean? Because even in an MMO population, you have people playing at a variety of different levels, a variety of different... There's a skill gap also.
There's people in the chat like Raging Biscuit and Hellbender27. They're all saying like, no, you can't do that. People need cell phones. They won't talk to each other. Blah, 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 blah. Like, this is the thing. Like, the way like Final Fantasy 11 worked is they didn't develop content for players to beat. They developed content for players to overcome. However they did it, it didn't matter how they did it, but as long as like players could overcome a challenge, that's what the game was about.
Right.
That's like a fundamental flaw with 14 is that they designed the game to be beaten, to be won.
Yeah, specifically, and actually I think you can most notably see that, not even just in FF14, in every MMO that has rotations, right? Because those rotations are things that are planned out. Square Enix knows the way to get the highest DPS. When they sit down to make a class or to balance a class, they know they'll do this move, into this move, into this move, hit these buffs, and do that. And you're right. I think fundamentally that comes down to they're putting like a puzzle in front of us, and they're like, there is a predetermined way to solve this instead of just throwing a monster at you that spams moves and you have to figure out how to beat it.
Yeah,
but it does take, you know what, it does take someone testing the water, and there have been a variety of MMOs that have tried to incorporate more old school development philosophies, and the one that everyone always points to is that stupid cartoon space MMO. I don't even remember its name. What was that? What was that one?
What?
Space MMO?
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was a cartoony space MMO.
Oh, it's not Rift.
No.
It's
Eve?
No.
Terra?
What, a cartoony one?
Yeah.
WildStar.
WildStar.
Thank you, Gallant CP.
Yes. So, you know, everyone points to WildStar and goes, well, that's why you can't have that.
Everyone shut up. We already know what the answer
God,
is.
you fucking morons.
They have a delay. Shut up.
So
That's a joke, nigga.
Be nice to our listeners.
No! Why?
Fuck them.
Because
Why
they
would
all
you
should have
ever?
seen Gallant CP say it first.
Why would you ever be nice to our listeners?
We're taking a page out of Square Enix's book.
That's right.
Fuck the people that pay us.
Anyway, so
Okay.
it's funny because it's true. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so here's the thing. You guys have totally derailed me off of my point.
Keep your point in spot.
But everyone points to a game like WildStar that has, you know, like what is considered the old style of mechanics and designing game systems, and they go, well, that game failed, so clearly those game designs have also failed, and we've moved past them. When you don't really even consider who's driving that, what's the IP, no one gave a shit about WildStar or what it was. There are enough people who care about the Warcraft universe and will be interested in looking back and reminiscing. I think that this more accurately tests the waters of, is this even a playstyle that's still valid?
Yeah, see, God, I hate when people use that whole, those mechanics don't work anymore, because it's the first rock that they throw when something fails, but when something succeeds with them, they never go, oh, it worked with that, do they? And specifically, in regards to the vanilla WoW server, one of the things that I was thinking of is obviously right now and for a while, the whole nostalgia thing is something that's been driving a lot of business practices, right?
Yep.
How, at what point does nostalgia end? Like we go back so far. Like, is Vanilla WoW nostalgic enough to work? Could they then go even further than that? Burning Crusade servers? Like, how far back does nostalgia actually stop to where it's not nostalgia anymore?
Yeah. I mean, this is
last expansion.
The last expansion. I mean, how kind of ridiculous would it be if we start to see a gradual re-release of all the WoW expansions on these servers?
Oh God.
I know that I don't. That I think would defy the purpose.
Probably, yeah.
That I think would defy the fucking purpose of doing a
But where do you draw
throwback
the line?
server?
Because people love Burning Crusade too.
Burning Crusade was the best World of Warcraft experience.
I think
because I say so.
I think
it's the only one you rated.
Here's the thing: is Vanilla WoW even going to? It's got to be a separate client, right?
Oh yeah.
They're going to have to do a totally different build.
Yeah. Not to mention, I think that they think that people would like to see on the launcher World of Warcraft, Legacy World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
So if they did a Burning Crusade, it's not as simple as like launching Burning Crusade servers and then you're logging in either to a modern server or, Burning Crusade. They couldn't do that. They would have to they would have to release separate builds for each.
It's basically a brand new game. Is what it would amount to.
I totally understand why Blizzard was a bit reluctant to do this.
Yeah, I think it's the same sort of resources that you would put into doing like a remake.
Oh, more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, much more.
Yeah.
I mean, because you've got to be able to run those servers on a constant basis. You think they're going to charge? They've got to charge monthly for subscription for Vanilla WoW.
Yeah.
Come on, they've got to.
I think it'd be
How
like
could you
$5 though.
How could you not? Oh, I mean, yes, it's probably going to be less than
probably like $5 just for Vanilla WoW, or if you have old or new WoW, then it
Like
could
a
be
package.
free. If you have a World of Warcraft subscription. So if you want to play old WoW, it's $5 only. But if you have
smart.
brand new WoW, have a vanilla server for free.
I don't know that they're going to charge.
They could have. They honestly could have done that with FF11 and 14. Like honestly, if you paid for an FF14 subscription and you got an FF11 subscription for free along with it, would you not play FF11?
You pay for it and you don't play FF11.
Okay, good point. But I'm saying though, like if you had access to it on a day where you were like, oh man, I kind of feel like see what's going on in Vonadil.
You might get more people to try it again, or even people who because you said people who have already played.
I think you would have people that would be keeping sort of like a
you probably would
like a sort of casual relationship up with it, right?
Yeah. The thing is, it wouldn't hurt that, but. I'm not sure if it would end up equaling out, because now the people who are still paying, like you, wouldn't have to, and that's checks they're not cashing.
Although FF11 is clearly a superior game, so
makes more money.
Maybe it should be the other way around. You pay for an FF11 subscription, you get a free 14 subscription.
That's how it was.
That is
1.0.
Actually, you're right. It is how it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh, I totally burned you.
So no one wanted to step up to the plate and try to answer this burning question that I've had of, why is it that Square Enix treats FF11 like that was the game that failed and FF14 was the one that is